Hello and happy Thanksgiving weekend. Welcome to the Cozy Christmas Book Corner. And today I'm going to tell you about several cozy mysteries that are great to read this time of year. Now, if you're a longtime listener of the podcast, these books will be somewhat familiar to you because I've talked about them before. But I wanted to just bring them back up again because I've been able to read more in the series and they're just all so wonderful and good and cozy, and two of them especially are series, like I said, that take place all around a Christmas theme, and they're great to read throughout the year if you need a Christmas cozy to read. So the first one I want to tell you about is from Darcy Hannah, and it's part of the Beacon Bake Shop mystery series, and it's book 2 in the series, and it's called Murder at the Christmas Cookie Bake Off. Now, I've talked about this book before, and I've interviewed the author before, both on my podcast as well as on my book podcast. She's was a great interview, and we had a lot of fun talking about that. Just to recap, the series follows a woman named Lindsay Bakewell, which is a great cozy mystery name, and she owns a bakery in a lighthouse in Beacon Harbor, Michigan. The descriptions of the town itself are beautiful. It is a good mystery. The food descriptions are so delicious. This book will make you hungry, and Christmas is a strong theme throughout, including a mysterious character that appears. And that's all I'll say about that. It was a lot of fun with just a touch of magic. There's a cookie bake-off competition happening, and one of the judges is found dead. So the question is, who would want to kill the judge of the cookie competition? But once you meet the guy, you would wonder who wouldn't want to kill this man. So I love that. It's a great mystery, and the cover itself is just a beautiful Christmassy cover. I think the artwork on this is fantastic. Overall, the whole series is good, but book 2 takes place at Christmas, and you'll want to pick that up. I've read all 3 in the series, and each one I think gets better than the one before, so that's always a promising start, and I am eagerly waiting for more in the series to be published, and hope that is the plan for Darcy Hannah's wonderful series. Now, this next series I want to recommend you. Longtime listeners of the show will recognize this one as well. It's by author Vicki Delaney, and it's called the Year-Round Christmas Mystery Series. And it takes place at in a Christmas store called Mrs. Claus's Treasures, and it's run by Mary Wilkinson, another great cozy mystery name. And it takes place in the fictional Rudolph, New York, where it's Christmas time all year long. So, and as someone who lives in a small Iowa town that really capitalizes on one theme, here we have antiques. We're a town of 700 people, but there's like 20 antique stores, and I'm not even exaggerating. Like, I get the vibe of that idea that we have to capitalize on this one theme so our town can survive, and that's what Rudolph, New York does. And it's a wonderful cozy mystery series with the titles that absolutely slay me. Book 1 is called Rest Ye Murder Gentlemen, and book 2 was called We Wish You a Murderous Christmas. Both books were very well written. And I'm about to start book 3 called Hark the Herald Angels Slay, and I hope to be reading that this December. And that one will take place in the summer, so they don't all take place at Christmas time, but the town of Rudolph celebrates Christmas year-round. For those of us who celebrate and acknowledge Christmas throughout the year, this is a perfect series for you because it kind of shows you what life is like for someone who's focused on Christmas, 365 days out of the year. And in this case, it's the whole town. So I'm looking forward to reading what that will be like for the town in summer. And it sounds like a good mystery. What this one's about, it says, in Rudolph, Christmas in July heralds Santa's arrival by boat to begin his summer vacation at the lake. And Mary Wilkinson, owner of Mrs. Claus's Treasures, is looking forward to a busy weekend, but she's caught off guard when her ex-fiancé, Max Folger, unexpectedly arrives with a team from a lifestyle magazine wanting to do a feature on the July festivities. It's clear that Max's visit has less to do with business and more to do with winning back Mary's heart. Mary has too much on her plate to deal with an old flame, but when Max is found strangled to death in Mrs. Claus's treasures, she must find out who wanted him dead and stop a killer from ruining the summer holiday cheer. So this one sounds like it's a little bit darker than the first two, but it's a cozy mystery, so overall we know what to expect. But just the fact that her ex-fiance is the one who is dead, that's an interesting direction for that series to take, I think. This one, the cover, it's good. It's not a strong Christmas vibe, but it really captures that summer vibe. And if you didn't look twice, you might mistake it for just a typical cozy. But the first two have really, really charming Christmassy covers. Book 4 in the series is called Silent Night, Deadly Night, and that looks like it takes place right before Thanksgiving. If you don't care about reading books out of order, this might be a great book to pick up this weekend. It's called Silent Night, Deadly Night. And then book 5, which is the most recent published one, it takes place back at Christmas time again. So kind of follows them throughout the year. And book 5 is called Dying in a Winter Wonderland. So bonus points for the clever titles. And I really hope there's going to be more in this series, because what I've read so far, I've loved. And this is a series I'm going to read until they stop publishing them. Then the other series I want to recommend is a Mrs. Claus mystery series by Liz Ireland. And now I have talked again about these books in the past. I've had Liz on the show before, and actually she's going to be my guest again coming up next week, talking about her brand new book in this series, Mrs. Claus and the Evil Elves. So the other two, the first one takes place at Christmas time, the second one takes place at Halloween. And the covers are really, really fun. I love them. Just excellent artwork there. It's described as Jessica Fletcher meets Tim Burton, and I'm not entirely sure that's an accurate description of the series, but it gets pretty close. There's this charming cozy with just that undercurrent of darkness and murder. I think especially because it's taking place at the North Pole. You don't think of the North Pole as a hotbed of crime, but some bodies turn up for sure. But there is a dark sense of humor too in some of the murders, and I think, well, maybe that would work. I don't know. I have to think about that description. But in this book, in book 3, which I'm about to be reading here once I get our Christmas decorations up. I'll read a Christmas book any time of the year, but like this one and Vicki Delaney's series, those are books I really want to wait to read until Christmas time. So I'm about to embark on book 3. It says that April Claus is getting an early gift for her second Christmas in Santaland. Her dear friend Claire is visiting from Oregon, and April hopes to show off her adoptive country at its cozy, glittering best. But when the annual ice sculpture contest is derailed by a kamikaze drone deer, it's just the first in a series of unfestive events. And as we find out, a drone deer is like an automated drone that is maybe going to replace Santa's reindeer. The good folks of the North Pole and of Santaland, they might throw a fit about that. So certainly the reindeer might. Well, Liz is going to talk about all of that and more on our upcoming episode. This is a great series with really fun characters and hilarious scenes. Every page just seems to be drenched with Christmas and coziness. It's really, really lovely. And it's become one of not just my favorite Christmas cozy series, but this is one of my favorite mystery series. It's right near the top. I think several of the books, the first 2 books were some of the best books I read last year. If there was one series that I would recommend out of all of these, it would be this one, just because of how much it captures all of my interests with Christmas, with Santa lore, and a little bit of a peek into the magic of what happens and how Santa works, along with a good cozy mystery series, all just wrapped up together. So this really has everything I could want. And so to begin the series with April Claus and finding out that she marries the real life Santa, you'll want to begin with book 1 and definitely read the series in order. It's a well plotted mystery with some incredible world building. which is really fun. And I think she mentions it in our interview that when she came to write this series, she wanted to write it in a world where she didn't have to worry about any kind of real life rules or history or anything like that, because she'd been writing historical novels and kind of got burnt out on digging into the history and all that. So she just kind of made up her own world, and I love it. It's the North Pole. I would love to visit one day. So all right, those are some of my recommendations for you today. Next week we'll be looking at some new recommendations for you, and some books I definitely haven't talked about yet on the podcast. As we run headfirst into the Christmas season, I hope you are having a wonderful and happy Thanksgiving weekend. So until then, I hope that you have a very Merry Christmas.